Welcome to All Theory, No Conspiracy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click to receive notifications, and leave a comment. This is a video about Bill Gates, Microsoft founder and billionaire philanthropist. Despite the best efforts to maintain a pristine public image, which tends to overstate who he is and what he does, some cracks are starting to appear. This video will attempt to explain some of the reasons for that. What is behind the public image of Bill Gates? In 1974, Gary Kildall created CPM, Control Program for Microcomputers, and started Digital Research Incorporated, DRI, to market the software. It would go on to become the first commercially successful computer OS, long before Windows. Kildall also developed the first successful BIOS, the foundation for the personal computer as we know it. DRI would expand to Pacific Grove and Monterey, including a large office on Garden Road. In 1978, the company was making $100,000 a month. By 1983, revenues hit nearly $45 million a year. When IBM decided to create a personal computer, they first went to Bill Gates. But Gates didn't have an operating system, so he recommended Kildall. IBM flew to Pacific Grove to meet with Kildall, but he was flying his plane back from a meeting when they arrived. The IBM representatives misinterpreted this as Kildall being too preoccupied with his own pursuits to meet with them. IBM went back to Gates, who would buy his own operating system from Seattle Computer Products. The operating system Gates bought copied CPM, with 43 of its 45 functions directly copied from CPM. Gates had hired Tim Paterson from Seattle Computer Products to recreate the CPM OS as a program named 86DOS, which became the OS that was pre-installed on all IBM PCs and helped to launch the software giant known as Microsoft. As for Gary Kildall, he became a very successful software creator in his own right. But in 1994, Gary Kildall died under mysterious circumstances. Monterey police said there was a fight at a local bar. Kildall was either pushed or knocked down. He refused medical treatment that night, but would be discharged from the hospital twice before dying at the community hospital of the Monterey Peninsula. A few days after the incident, police said the death may have been foul play and investigated it as a homicide. However, no one was ever charged. Bill Gates is known for being the inventor of DOS, though it was created by Tim Paterson after being inspired by Gary Kildall's CPM OS. Bill Gates is widely known as a computer genius and lately has been known as an expert on virology and vaccines, but he is neither. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard after 3 semesters. It doesn't take a genius to do that. Bill Gates is a junior and a third by name. His father is William Gates Sr. II, a distinguished Seattle lawyer who also worked on the boards of countless organizations, including United Way and Planned Parenthood. Bill Gates Sr. was also very interested in eugenics and was a driving force behind creating abortion centers around the country and bringing birth control options to the underprivileged around the world. In the 1960s, with abortion becoming legal in most places, There was a de facto industry created around the use of aborted fetal tissue. They are used as fillers and proteins in some of the products we consume. There are many products that contain aborted fetal tissue and many uses for this type of material. In a series of undercover videos, David Deladen of the Center for Medical Progress exposed Planned Parenthood abortion clinics selling fetal parts to investigators posing as medical researchers. For his efforts, his office was raided in 2016 by then California Attorney General Kamala Harris. It would seem that the people behind harvesting aborted fetal tissue would like this practice to be kept out of the public eye. By the mid-1990s, Bill Sr. was recently widowed and on the verge of retirement when his son and daughter-in-law asked him to oversee the requests for funding that began coming into their new philanthropic endeavors. The Gates' various arenas focused on health, public access to computers, and preparing low-income minority students for college. These endeavors begat the creation of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000, whose endowment grew into the tens of billions of dollars. Warren Buffett vowed in 2006 to donate the majority of his $44 billion fortune to the Gates Foundation and several other philanthropies. Bill Sr. became deeply involved in dispensing hundreds of millions of dollars annually in grants. One of the chief interests of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was the United Nations Population Fund. Executive Director Dr. Babatunde Osotimehin and Melinda Gates undertook a joint mission to Kenya on the 27th of June 2016 to assess the progress of the FP 2020 Family Planning 2020 initiative at the field level. The partnership between UNFPA and the BNMGF hope to expand access to family planning, supplies, and services for 120 million women and girls in the world's 69 poorest countries by 2020. A request from Bill Gates put science on the cusp of a revolutionary, remote-controlled method of birth control. A new device from Microchips of Lexington, Massachusetts, passed its preclinical trials and was available by 2018. If successful, the device would be installed via an implant that would last for 16 years. The small device, 20 by 20 by 7 millimeters in size, would be implanted under a woman's skin. It then would send 30 micrograms of levonorgestrel into the body each day via a battery-generated current that temporarily disables a seal in the tiny containers that hold the hormone. It turns on or off via remote control. This all began when Gates asked Robert Langer of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology if something like this could be done. Mr. Langer, who co-founded Microchips, had already successfully tested what the company called an implantable, wirelessly controlled and programmable microchip-based drug delivery device. Gates and his colleagues asked Langer if it were feasible to create birth control that a woman could turn on and off and use for many years. The BNMGF have supported the concept with more than $4.5 million in grants. Gates has come under fire in recent years from questions that have been posed to him since the time he supported microchip ID and banking info devices, claiming he has no desire to microchip people. Somewhat contradictory, as it seems Gates has been interested in implanting microchips in people in one way or another for a long time. Did I mention Sr. was very interested in eugenics? And Bill Jr. is very interested in population control. Bill Gates had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There are some unsubstantiated rumors that not only was there a business relationship between the two, which Gates has vociferously denied, but that he flew on a certain airplane to a very controversial and criminal location, which was owned by Epstein. Since Epstein's death, Gates has admitted to a relationship with him, suggesting that it had to do with philanthropic interests. U.S. media have said that Melinda Gates was furious at his relationship with Epstein and wanted it to end. Former board member Maria Klaus had said, "A person like Bill Gates thinks the usual rules of behavior don't apply to him." Maybe this explains why he feels he can do business with whoever he chooses without any fear of repercussion. A man employed as an engineer by Bill Gates was convicted of some heinous crimes. A Seattle man named Rick Allen Jones was accused of amassing a 6,000 image child collection and trading child photos by Gmail. King County prosecutors said Jones admitted he'd been collecting child videos and photos for a decade before police intervened in March. Jones was first contacted by police at the Gates estate while working for the billionaire couple. Gates has not only recently invested heavily in such ventures as the Canadian National Railway, which has long been a great source of cross-border shipping between Canada and the U.S., Gates is also purchasing large amounts of farmland across the U.S. I am not sure why a man who was recently endorsing a synthetic milk product known as New Milk would be interested in farmland. Through the recent pandemic, Gates positioned himself as an authority on medicine, vaccines, viruses, and now on climate change. The biggest reason Gates has been able to position himself in this way is due to the fact that he invests heavily in the World Health Organization and as such can control how the organization operates. And Gates pays media companies untold millions to keep his public image in good standing and to not publish anything that will tarnish his reputation, such as his links to Epstein and other nefarious situations. When the COVID-19 pandemic was announced, 4 groups steered the pandemic response and advised governments and healthcare organizations around the world how to react and which measures were to be taken. The 4 organizations had worked together in the past, and 3 of them shared a common history. The largest and most powerful was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gavi, the global vaccine organization that Gates helped to found to inoculate people in low-income nations. The Wellcome Trust, a British research foundation with a multi-billion-dollar endowment that had worked with the Gates Foundation in previous years, and the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, or CEPI, the International Vaccine Research and Development Group that Gates and Wellcome both helped to create in 2017. Previous to the pandemic in 2020, the B and MGF, the World Economic Forum with Klaus Schwab, and Johns Hopkins University staged a pre-pandemic exercise in New York City in 2019 called Event 201. This exercise envisioned a pandemic caused by a disease which sprung from the coronavirus, which is the virus that causes colds and can lead to pneumonia, and ended up killing 65 million people. The virus in Event 201 was named Coronavirus Disease 2019, or COVID-19 for short. Bill Gates has gone on record denying that Event 201 ever took place, or that the Gates Foundation was involved. I'm baffled as to why he would deny this, given the website and videos from Event 201 still exist. It is strange that Gates' ties to medical orgs, Event 201, vaccines, and population control all led to him governing the course of action during what was called a pandemic. There will be a direct link to a video I made about Event 201 at the end screen of this video. An event whose fictional virus went live 3 months later was the reason the world was shut down for 2 years and vaccines were forced on much of the population. Gates has his hands in all of this, along with direct connections to people with unhealthy interests. Is it any wonder he pays so much for PR? There will be links to all of the information sourced for this video in the description below this video. There are a lot of links, and they tell a very interesting story. There is a lot of information out there and can be found on whichever search engine you choose. Please research this and any other topic you feel needs researching. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. The end? Stay tuned for more content from